Hey everyone, welcome to Questions, Comments, and Concerns for episode 3 of our new season at Threshold. Let's talk about the session we just did.
I feel so bad.
Why?
Just being kind of really rude to
The guy who was rude to you first?
Yeah.
Not to mention your friend Vel, who was just trying to help get the boat into the dock.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what that was. I was just like, okay, like, for me, I was like, okay, we gotta go. And it's like, there's just so much stuff. I don't know. I feel really bad. Like, I wish I hadn't done it.
Oh. No.
And you wish you hadn't been rude to that guy?
Yeah.
The guy that was rude to you first?
Well, it's like, it's all, I mean...
I was like ready to kill that guy.
I mean, I'm just thinking like that, you know, how's that reputation gonna spread? Like, that sucks.
Well,
you know, like,
that's a good point. There's
dick.
2 different ways to go about it. I mean, you can like go into every town and be like, well, don't you know who I am? I'm Lady Demarin.
I know, I
Or
don't
you
do
can
that
just-
too often, but I did it
you can
this
just
time,
do
and I don't know
things, and
why.
people are like, who are those people?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I made that choice of just to be like, don't you know who I am? Like, that's so not Christine. I have no idea why I did that in the moment.
Yeah.
So I feel terrible about it. I'm sure it's gonna now come to bite me in the ass, and I'm never gonna be able to live it down.
Speaking of things that
Now it is. Now that you said it.
I'm
Great.
perpetually worried on whether I'm being Velly enough, so...
Speaking of things coming back to bite you in the ass, boat menders.
You keep feeding that monster.
Yeah,
That's the gift.
that's your guys' own fault.
He's like, keep on giving. Now I have to try and mend a boat.
I know. I love it. I love that you have. I'm actually like I have this idea now. I think cause like those aspiring might be called the Boat Menders League to avoid any suspicion. Well, the question is there a real Boat Menders League? Because it seems to be something that people acknowledge.
Yes.
To me, I think it's like maybe something people acknowledge because they don't want to seem foolish. Where it's like, oh, well, of course,
Oh, the Boat
Menders League. Yeah, maybe so, but I sort of feel like there is a Boat Menders League somewhere.
Well, there was in
The ranch
In the
time.
ranch timeline.
Maybe
That's
not
true.
here. I don't know.
Oh, wouldn't that be interesting if there's only a Boat Menders League in the ranch timeline?
You just brought that back with us.
But you know what? If there wasn't the Boat Menders League, then I wouldn't have to go to that lumberyard to meet Bartholomew Lumberman, which is like one of my favorite NPCs.
Hello!
Yeah, he's up there with Petri dish for me.
Petri dish.
Petri dish. Let's see. We were a little slow
Yeah.
to get started. I noticed it took us about 20 minutes to get to something. Any idea what's going on there on your end?
It's probably because like you're on a boat.
I think you gave us too much.
Too much freedom?
on the
Yeah.
boat, like,
It's like, what do you do on the boat?
Yeah, it was sort of like, I'm just
So-
going to keep describing what I'm doing on the boat until we're
Yeah.
not
We
on
get
the boat
off
anymore.
the boat, yeah.
What would have been a more effective way to intro that? in
I
you
don't
guys?
know. Maybe we should have just started pulling into port.
I wanted to give you guys the opportunity to do the.
I mean,
to do
I
the
liked
things.
I wanted time to do some stuff on.
Yeah.
Like I liked brooding in my room because that's.
I think if there was something you like, a story element you wanted to happen on the boat, you should have like just been like you're here instead of like, what are you doing? It was like you walk into here and you.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't want to take away your guys' opportunity to have sort of those moments like talking to each other.
Right.
That was, I think, one of the interesting things, and this is just from my perspective, is like everyone sort of found their own thing to do by themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I noticed.
I was hoping one of the players would interrupt me in my room. It was nice that Adamsma came in and we had that conversation, but like.
Yeah, that was something that I definitely thought like I wanted to reintroduce, like sort of remind us that Ansma's there and to sort of touch on some of those themes, especially as we move towards some of those.
Like, that seemed.
It's kind of.
Yeah.
This session put me in a weird place with Vel because like. I want to start feeling like I've come to rely on these people that I've been spending all this time with and friends and stuff. And just to the point where I might want to start confiding in them. And pretty much all that came out of like my opening that I gave was Christine yelling at me for breaking the dock, which made me not want to open up to her.
Right.
You did
So-
break the dock.
I did break the dock.
Like you did pull like some gnarly magic stuff in
Right,
a place
like-
we hadn't been before.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it was wrong. I'm just saying that's what happened, and
Right.
so I'm struggling with
Yeah.
reconciling that with how I want the character to go.
Right,
Yeah,
that's fine.
it's interesting because this is sort of, I mean, our last session airs as 2, but it's really just 1. It always does take us a little while to get back, and that's why I hate why I think this new shooting schedule is going to be better, trying to shoot more often, so we don't get into these sort of
These slumps.
Yeah, it's not, I wouldn't call it a slump, but it's just like we don't remember, we aren't in the headspace of the characters. We don't remember that like we're friends that have traveled to other universes and that kind of thing.
I mean, in my defense, like
I'm
Chris-
not,
You don't need
I don't
to
think you
defend
need to
yourself.
defend yourself.
well, okay, but for Christine, it's like she just lost her father figure, right?
Yeah.
So she doesn't really want to talk to anybody about it because she's like, it's like she just kind of lost her dad again. And, then like she's in an area where she kind of knows like people really don't know like about elves or like magic to like a really big extent. And so like for Vel to do something like this, it's like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? Like,
Well,
it's like
no,
these people are like, they don't
So-
know, and you're just pulling like some crazy gnarly magic. So she's a little
in
upset.
Vel's defense, magic is like breathing
Right.
to Vel, and no one told him that people aren't used to that here.
Right, and so it's a culture clash,
Yeah.
right? It's that culture clash, and she's like, you're out of your element. Like, what are you doing? And I think it's hard for her to sometimes remember like elves are just totally magical. And she just
Although I do think that it's interesting and again, this just comes from not being in the headspace of the characters for a long time.
Yeah.
But like having a lot of magic happen hasn't ever been.
Yeah, no, I liked the like suspicion that I got. And, like that's kind of a fun
I've
layer.
been listening to something about boat superstitions, and so sailors are like the most superstitious people.
Yes,
Oh,
that-
yeah,
ever, yeah.
absolutely.
So-
Next to baseball players.
So when you move their ship, is that a 4th level spell, control water?
Yeah.
So it's
It's listed on one of the things I can cast with staff charges with this thing.
Oh right, because it's a moon thing.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I had you break the dock with it, just because you're moving a big.
Yeah.
I don't know how fine the control is.
That was a little frustrating because the spell literally says you just pick an 100 square foot area of water and you have total control over it.
100 square foot. Okay.
Which maybe is not enough to completely redirect a boat, but I don't know.
Yeah, because I assumed we were like 50 yards left.
So like I think the failure was interesting, but it was a little frustrating that there was an element of failure added to a spell that typically doesn't have
shouldn't. Yeah. I chose to have you make that roll because we're sort of using the spell. You're not controlling the boat. You're controlling the water.
it. Yeah.
So I sort of saw it as okay, you can control the water perfectly, but can you use the water in the perfect way to control the boat? So that was sort of my rationale.
No, that's perfectly fair. I also just rolled really low on like all of my early skill checks.
I think not the problem, but the thing with like the starting of an episode like that, I don't like so much the like just what are you doing like at the very beginning of an episode.
That's why
I think that's fine in an episode, like in
like if
especially town times
we had set up camp and then it's like, okay, what are you guys doing? It's like, okay, we're like after like near the end there when we were setting up
It's just
camp.
it's easier for us, I think, for our gears to start turning if we're starting. Like if something is happening when we start.
Yeah.
I think now that we have like a path, because the past 2 episodes, last couple episodes of this
Yeah,
one,
it's
we sort of like,
kinda like-
hey, what are you guys doing? And we have to go we go down the list one by one. Which
I
It is
suppose-
kind of funny because we basically go down the table and each
Yeah.
of us say what we're
Yeah.
doing separately too, which is
Yeah.
kind of
now the choice is what are you guys doing? We are proceeding down the road to look for this beehive.
Right, and we're all
Right.
together. We're all like, it's not like we have separate rooms or we're able to
It's
do
tough.
separate things. It's
I
like
just
we're
don't
kinda
like
more in
taking away your
confined
guys'
space.
agency I don't want to start the episode with like, and here we are and this is what we're doing for the adventure. Because I feel like if we do that, then a lot of our best moments are where you guys decide like, I'm gonna go out and get food, or
Sure.
I think it's a little
how you guys creatively solve a problem. So in Town Times in the past, a lot of the time you guys have had things to do. And I don't know if it's just coming from a place where you guys don't have anything you want to do right now.
Yeah.
Because it sort of felt like and I guess this is exactly what was happening, where I was sort of waiting for someone to pick up a thread of something interesting to happen so I can sort of have an introduction before we get right to like my adventure that I had planned. And I felt like everyone was kind of waiting for me to push them, and you guys sort of just felt like overwhelmed by the number of things you could have done.
Analysis
Well, I don't know,
paralysis.
it's
I mean,
like,
I don't-
I mean, we're on a boat ride. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Unless something happens on the boat ride, like
Yeah.
I feel like most of us are gonna take some time to.
I mean, like, yeah, my
Yes.
main goal, like, I wanted to read that letter to the audience. I wanted to share that.
Yeah.
And so that I wasn't just staring at a mysterious piece of paper for the next couple episodes.
That's good.
Right.
But beyond that, I just like, again, it was probably partly just me not getting into Vel's headspace very quickly. But yeah, I think a lot of our strength there too is like all of us doing individual stuff without each other sort of weakened that whole thing. I think if we had tried to include at least one other person in what we were doing,
Yeah.
I think it would have been a lot more interesting rather than us
Yeah.
each doing something individually.
I agree, and I've been struggling with this as Ka because for the most part, it's just been like somebody else is doing something, and then it's like, yeah, Ka's there too, because
Yeah.
You have to have somebody else there.
I don't.
That's kind of the
yeah.
blessing
I
and
don't
curse of your
work
character.
like very well alone,
Right.
and Ka himself, like the character, he feels very lonely, and he trusts these people for the most part, but it's also like it's not like he can go into Vel's room and open up about his past, really.
Right.
So it's like, I guess for like on the boat ride, I wanted like, you know what, I want Ka to be doing his own thing for once, as opposed to just like he's
Sure.
just
I don't
hanging out
know.
as like
I don't
a
know
sidekick.
why this never occurred to me, but can non-Thauthesians learn Thauthesian?
I haven't thought too much about that.
I mean, maybe they can't enunciate the whole thing, but I could probably learn to understand it so I could communicate with them more
yeah, because they
effectively,
certainly
right?
can.
Well, and I can speak
Belly drum.
belly drum. Like
Yeah,
That's
Billy
right.
can
I can talk,
belly
but
drum.
not. I don't want to be that person, but nobody's really asked me anything. So
Right.
Well, and yeah, and that's sort of, again, that's like me sitting in my room and wishing a player would come and ask Vel what's wrong. It's like, you can't do that because the other players are focused on their character. You kind of have to be proactive if you want character development in a lot of ways.
Maybe
It's
something
I'm learning.
to think about is as sort of a homework assignment for next time is to sort of figure out what your character does with the like what do you, because 90% of our time is not spent adventuring.
Yeah.
What are the things like you do with each other person? Like when Christine and Vel are in a room, what do they do?
Yeah.
When Jamie and Vel are in a room, what do they do? When Ka and Vel are in a room, what do they do? You know, and sort of figure out what you do with everyone else when the two of you are alone, and then of course we can expand it to what happens when these three people are together.
Yeah,
and
what
I think we'll
what
get
does the
some
party do recreationally?
Yeah,
We haven't really
exactly.
explored that like at all.
Right.
Which is
Well,
weird.
it's
And
because
per-
we've been sprinting through a lot of that, right?
When I guess, and that is what I'm looking for an opportunity to give you guys when I say, and I maybe should express this rather than just intrinsically expect it, is because what I'm looking for is those moments to figure out like what are these guys' relationships like.
And I think we haven't really thought about that because, you know, it's like, oh, we have
mean-
we have like kind
I
of the
feel
big
like-
brush strokes
well,
and
and
our
like-
own personal things. We
That was
haven't
part of
thought
like, I
about-
think maybe we need to communicate with that more because I thought Christine and Vel had a better relationship than it seems like we do when we interact on camera a lot of the time. Because mostly it's just like Vel being kind of a skeptical asshole or Christine reprimanding him for doing something reckless, and that's basically
That was today.
Yeah.
We haven't seen that as much in the past.
That's true.
I would say a lot of the time it's Christine going, okay, what is this? And Vel saying, well, I think this is probably what it is.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
know, more closer to what we had with the Blights.
that's true.
Right. Because, I mean,
would say
Christine,
is-
anything magical, automatically, like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Because she just has no idea.
Yeah.
I think I would appreciate. I think Kevin, you're right that I can't like expect people to be interested in my character, but like it's different. You guys, your characters have been around for like
that's
seasons and seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's also a mistake I made this episode too. No, it wasn't like a criticism of you. It's just an
Right. No, I'm
observation.
just saying it's like I am gonna like ask for that a bit because it's like I can't have like a monologue moment. I'm
Right.
not getting letters from the homeland. I don't have a shadow to like bounce thoughts
Yeah.
off. Like
I mean,
unless I like. You know, unless there is some sort of forced interaction.
and I think there's some out of character discussions we can have to set those moments
Sure.
up before the game starts too. So
Like, I know there was a moment I wanted to have with Ka, but I thought that we were going to have it later in the episode, and I feel like that was the time to do it, and that was just a missed opportunity. So now it's like, okay, next,
Maybe the start
next,
of the next,
yeah, then
now
start of the
that
next session, exactly. It's like, okay, that's when we can
that's
do
the
it.
kind of thing that we'll get the.
Yeah, it's like
gears
if you have
turning
something
right
like that
off the bat.
planned, then you can go, oh, this is how I want to start the session. I think talking to each other about it, not just be like, oh, well, we'll do it later in the session. It's like, no. First thing, like, just to
maybe.
get people going and to kind of like get us back into the character.
I'm going to wrap up this point. If we have more to say, we can talk afterwards. I just want to ask you guys sort of what your thoughts are. What do you guys think of Mary now that you've had another session with her?
I like her.
I like her a lot.
She's not, so she's a cleric, but she has no magical powers.
She's an alkalite.
Okay.
Whether or not she has magical powers is yet to be seen.
Okay,
I have also not decided that.
cool.
But I have sort of two plans.
I like that it's more like, oh, well, I'm just a magical cleric.
I
it's
want
like,
to sort of play with the idea that clerics don't necessarily know that they're magical.
Most of the people that worship these gods don't get powers from them, right?
It's more of a I pray for this and it happens, not like, okay, I'm gonna cast bless now.
yeah,
right.
totally.
Playing with that a little bit.
I'm trying to play with my relationship with her. Obviously, like
Yeah.
Meta
tough.
does not like Nera, right? Or he has some sort of
Existent.
His sister.
It's a sister, so it's like
it's like sibling
but
rivalry.
they're feuding, right? So like,
Yeah.
so I'm trying to think like, do I just intrinsically not like her very much,
Yeah.
or am I like?
Are you allowed to like
Am
her
I
at
allowed?
all?
Am I allowed to like her? Am I allowed to be friendly with her now that I know that she's a cleric of Nera? And like, I can't go like, well, I talk to Meta on a semi-regular basis. So.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because like you aren't a worshiper of Meta.
No,
You have
I
made a
deal.
deal
I made a
with
deal
Meta.
with him.
You guys are like where it's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm the contractor who was hired to build the church, not
Yeah.
necessarily
To worship in it.
Not necessarily to worship in it.
I'm enjoying Vel's relationship sort of just with this whole religious.
Yeah.
Well,
I just like I wanted to poke a little bit at the. I was really glad for Mary and the party because I wanted to poke at other religions a little bit because it's like, well, why would you worship this god when my god makes me not age? Like what?
Right.
What makes your god better than my god when I live forever because of mine?
Right.
And it's like that. I think that's a really I think religion's really interesting when there's empirical evidence of the deity's existence, and I really think it's interesting when they butt up against each other and stuff. And it's like, well,
Yeah. Last thing I was gonna say, and maybe this was just me, but was there like a little kind of like romance thing going on between Ansma and Jamie? Was that just me where she like ran into him?
Jamie.
Anson never talked to Jamie.
Yes, she did. When she
spilled
spilled
blood all
blood on
over
you.
you.
Oh.
She's like,
That was
oh,
a-
hey, I'm so, like, to me it felt a little bit like
a
a
rom-com
weird,
moment.
because she
Maybe a little bit.
she hasn't called him dim or any of that. She hasn't used any of like the derogatory terms towards Jamie.
Yeah, she's barely talked to him.
I know,
Yeah.
but like she would if she was, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Maybe
a
that's
good
just like a
point.
me thing picking that up.
Shipping.
But what did I do?
I didn't think about that.
But I don't know. For me in that moment, it was just like a, huh.
Brian gets his book out.
So I don't know. Like that was just a me thing of like
Yeah,
that's like
which
I
is
just
also
picked up on it.
interesting because Vel and Ansma have a little bit of
There's
that.
like a little bit of
There's a little bit of that moment I tried to make too.
Yeah, no, I liked the come back safe.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That,
So, yeah.
that conversation was kind of awkward though.
Yeah.
Which one?
The one where, like the one.
Oh yeah,
like, the
yeah,
first,
definitely.
It's like, so last time you told me that, like last night you told me that you love me, and
That should be awkward.
Yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
it totally fit. But that was.
And you
was
wish that I had stayed in the darkest of all
You
timelines,
wish I had died, and
so you can
could-
be the Exaltus Populi. It is sort of like though, like, hey, if I die, you become Jesus now.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah,
what does that do to you?
Yeah,
Like,
Well,
that's what
Yeah.
she doesn't bump into any necromancers or bad guys.
yeah. Yeah. Anything else?
What did you guys think of cinematic initiative?
Oh yeah. That's
Oh.
the big thing.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
Still mixed.
Because
Yeah,
we basically
very
had an order,
Yeah.
more or less, with a little bit of.
I like.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just because we've only done like the first time we did Cinematic Initiative was the last channel with the Jamie's, where we just kind of was a big.
Where you
cluster.
guys
That was a
chose.
mess. Yeah.
And this one was just like, well, you know, just I couldn't plan for it. Like with regular initiative, I can go, okay, well I go after.
Yeah.
I can go
Yeah,
after Patrick. So I'm just going. I'm gonna plan what do I want to do based upon kind of the order that things fall in. But like without no, I got one turn.
Yeah, two.
I got 2 turns.
Everybody got 2 turns, I think.
And so it's just like I cast Armor of Agathis, and then 2 of the guys died and 1 guy was pinned. You know, so it's like, okay, what do I do? Like it makes it difficult for me to makes it difficult to plan.
Right, like so I dashed away to hide, and then I was hoping to ambush one of the 2 new guys that had showed up before they had gotten attacked. But
It also wasn't a very challenging combat, so we burned through them very quickly.
That was it too. But I don't know. I'm still mixed. I'm curious to keep trying it.
I hear your note about planning, and I think I'm gonna just keep doing cinematic initiative because I have some thought. Well, I'll just say them. I won't be cryptic. I think that a great way to plan with cinematic initiative with you guys is to plan in character amongst each other.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when you do this combat, there's a little bit which is where Christine goes, Val, what should we do? And he says, I think we should kill them, you know. But then everyone, because when we have set initiative, we can sort of plan like, okay, then this person's gonna go, then I'm gonna go, which is a little bit of like meta, you know.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of meta going on in which I'm gonna go after this person, and I'm hoping that cinematic initiative a little bit will help you guys do some team ups.
okay.
You know, which is why, like, when you I don't know if you know this, but when you mention something or someone, usually that person is the next thing to go.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
When Vel looks at the one he has pinned, it's that thing's turn to go.
Okay.
Or when you attack something, it usually gets a chance to respond. And when something attacks you, you usually get a chance to respond.
I would like to know that before doing
And
it to encourage those moments rather than me doing something and then just having a random.
It's not a hard and fast rule.
I know, but like just to help propagate that. Rather
That's true.
I'm gonna do this thing, and then I'm just gonna
I've never
wait
done it.
until it's
I've never done it
my
before.
turn.
Yeah, that's true. Player wise, I think none of us really knew exactly what to expect.
I didn't know what to expect
Yeah,
either.
exactly. So we're still feeling it out,
Yeah.
but I think there's potential there still.
I think that, and maybe we can play with this a little bit, continuing doing the cinematic initiative. Jamie has meta powers. So he can know, the
that's a
next
good
person who's
point.
going to go is this person. So you can still have that little bit of planning. It's not as much as you would like, but I think that there's some way to incorporate the meta of combat
something
in
interesting
with
to play
Jamie.
with. There's
Because
something
he is
interesting to play with there.
he's meta's plaything. So it's like, it makes sense.
Yes.
And I know that would help you.
But I mean, for that would help me out at all. Like that would. But it's not like meta's going like, hey Jamie, like you're gonna
No,
be
but it could be
next,"
like an instinctual, like kind of like, oh, that guy's gonna go next. You know, like.
And the goal is we're not all standing there waiting as one person moves.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the entire goal
It's
of cinematic
fluid.
initiative is to make it feel like all this stuff is happening more at
happening
once.
at the same time.
So
I think as we play more, it will refine itself, and we'll
find a happy
medium.
I still feel like we're in the place when we got our asses kicked by the
Yeah.
Hawkborn Rangers,
Yeah.
where everyone's sort of acting. Everyone kind of has their own thing, and we still haven't figured out like how do we work as a unit.
Yeah, and that's why I really tried to I'm in my mind is like, okay, take care of the ones who can't take care of themselves first. Make sure that they're safe. That, because that's a very Christine thing. So when she's like, I have 2 people I have to watch out for because I don't know how well they can defend themselves against these things. And so it's like, I'm going to put myself between them and what's going to try and kill them.
But
and
you
let
also-
them
you
know.
also didn't go Ka, help defend the
Right, that's true. And you know what? I was just looking at all of my
one other thing to think
maneuvers and
about
things.
too is that you have also, even though those two can't defend themselves, you've also seen both Jamie and Vel go down.
Yeah, that's true.
They've gotten their asses kicked by copies of you, or by, I mean, over time, guards or random people. Like, I mean, one of the earliest things that ever happened between you and Jamie was Jamie got almost
He got his ass kicked.
almost killed by people out in the out in the woods or that kind of thing. So like, even though you know as a player and we know as players, like, okay, Vel is a 8th level wizard, he's gonna be able to do this. Like, if Vel takes a hit to the face, like he's still gonna hurt.
I'm at any given time, I'm 1, maybe 2 hits to the face from death. So
So it's just something that I'm hoping that if we do something where it's a little bit less like a game, where we're trying to fit all the pieces together and figure out, okay, what am I going to do during my turn? I'm hoping that the cinematic initiative will have both you guys and me think about how do our relationships as characters affect, because we happened on that really awesome combat at the end of Resper and the Ranch Timeline, where it happened that the initiative order felt really cinematically, but it was because of the relationship between everyone. Maybe there's a blend of the two, where we roll initiative for like the first round,
and then see where everything falls.
There's a answer.
I think you're right. I think it will work for me or for us, and I'll have to. I don't know. I'm gonna have to like think of ways to do it better, because from the types of characters I've played, rogues are very gamey in like their combat.
I can actually help with that, because I've noticed I haven't been using my different maneuvers, being like my fighter abilities, and one is like a maneuvering attack, so I can say like, Ka, flank him, and like you get an extra damage roll. And you can.
I think you get to act on your turn.
Choose ally to move up to half speed without provoking an attack, and add 1 superiority die to damage rolls. Then that can say like, oh, you're going next. You also get this.
Yeah, if you say Ka, move to flank him during,
which I was going to do
initiative.
next turn.
Yeah, exactly. When you use that ability, suddenly you get to move during someone else's turn, and then you get your full attack when it's your turn, probably next. Right. So
that makes like these, for me, more powerful. Like they actually have more of an impact on the game. Like, I mean, I'm supposed to be a battle master. I'm supposed to be able to maneuver people and and it's like I haven't been using them because there's been been nothing. Like there's been nothing to really use them for. They don't really matter. But now I think with cinematic, they could be like game changing because of the cinematic initiative.
Well, I'm not ready to cast it aside yet. I could feel that you guys are a little bit frustrated because there's a little bit of that lack of control. Like,
it was also like I think Pamela went twice before Patrick really got to do much.
I sort of feel like that might just we'll feel it out. But I'm aware that.
Yeah, it's just a hazard of.
My frustration with that encounter wasn't so much cinematic as that I'm trying to be so much better about using my stealth to my advantage, and so I was so good about like, no, I'm ahead of the group and I'm stealth, and then we didn't run into combat until I was out in the open looking at. Really, like, why couldn't we have run into this on the way here? Like, when I can actually be a rogue instead of just like.
Perhaps then, and just a thought, maybe you don't investigate the camp.
Yeah, I mean, now that's what I thought. I was like, okay, I'm just hidden all times.
You're the invisible man. Okay, I think that's all we have to say about that.
Yep.
Good thoughts, everyone.
Yeah.
I know this session felt a little strange for whatever reason.
A little bit,
but I think it was a good learning one for us.
I think so.
Yes.
And you have to have those sometimes.
And this next one is going to be good.
Oh yeah.
Because we have a direction now.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll catch you soon for another episode of Threshold. I did not say next Monday. Catch you soon for another episode of Threshold. We're going to have a great time. Thanks for watching. Questions, comments, concerns. Check out our Patreon if you want to see me give my private thoughts about the session and sort of open up some of the meta stuff. I'll probably talk about how I prepped the session in that little piece. So thank you guys for watching. Check that out. Be sure to check out our Patreon. We're on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode of Threshold. We'll see you back soon with another exciting episode. Catch you later.
Bye.
Sure. Fuzzy thing come off.
Fuzzy thing, yeah.